What's going to happen when we do consider it pure joy when we face trials? We're going to be transformed into the person God created us to be. James tells us what that looks like. Hey, this is Looking Intently. I put out 3 short videos on the Bible each week. Right now I'm going through the book of James. To make sure you don't miss any of the new ones, click the subscribe button and then that bell icon in the lower right. And if you want to catch up on the ones we've done so far, you can click this tag in the upper right. Also, I've been offering, this first section is about going through difficult times. If you are going through something and you'd like me to pray for you, put that in the comments section below. You don't have to give details. You can just say, please pray or pray for me, and I'll do that. Well, we've been looking at verses 2 through 4 in general. We're getting ready to focus on verse 4 today, but let's read the ones before it just to get the context. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Now, what's God's reason for allowing us to face difficult times? And realize God doesn't cause everything that happens to us. Part of that's a result of living in a fallen, sinful world. But He definitely allows it. Why does He allow it? Well, because He wants it to. When we face it, the way that He tells us to, He wants it to, and it will change our character. It will help us grow and mature. Romans chapter 5, I read verse 3 in the last video, but it also, verse 4, fits just as well in this section on James. It says there, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings. One translation says, rejoice in our sufferings. Because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. Well, that character that Paul's talking about there, it's Christ-like character. Again, it's the purpose. It's everything after the moment I'm forgiven until the day I die. I'm to be growing and maturing, to be transformed into Christ's image, His character. And James specifically gives 2 traits. He says we'll become mature and complete. And that word mature, it means full grown. And some translations will have perfect, and that is misleading. So I like mature there. It's the idea of full grown, an adult. And complete means having all its parts. And when you see what else James says, mature and complete, not lacking anything. That's a racing term. It means not to be outdistanced. And so you get the image that James is giving here. It's an adult with all their parts, all their limbs in a race. Well, they'll be able to do well versus, a child against adults or a person with 1 leg against those with 2 legs. No, we'll be able to do everything we need to do. Everything God intends us to do. We'll be mature and complete. And I think specifically this idea of maturity, it's talking about our commitment as a believer. We won't be perfect in our commitment, but we won't have some area lacking. I'm committed in every area, but not that one. And complete, I think that refers to our understanding of the Bible. It's not that I'll know everything about the Bible, but I won't have some glaring, weakness, omission. I don't know anything about Christ's deity or about grace. I'll know those foundational basics. And all that happens, James says, as perseverance finishes its work. Specifically, as we allow perseverance to finish its work, as we persevere. Now, that definitely happens with God's help, but we also know we have the choice whether or not to allow God to help us. God, I want your power to help me persevere, or we can say, God, I don't want to persevere. If we persevere, these things will happen. So once again, this opening section of James, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Are you facing something difficult right now? If so, how can this help? And what area do you maybe need to work on the most? Which would help the most? Which do you need to work on? This idea of, considering it pure joy, of choosing to have an attitude of joy, because I know what God can do through this. Maybe, knowing it's my faith being tested. And that, all right, it's all about, do I really trust God? I believe in Him. I believe who He is. Do I live that out? Do I trust that? And then knowing that perseverance can result in me being mature and complete, becoming more and more like Christ. what God's purpose for me is while I'm here on earth. Again, which part do you need to focus on, and how do you plan on doing it? Follow up with that. Read more in the Bible and this passage, other parts of James as we're going to be going through, any other part of the Bible. And as you do, always read the good book like a good book.